There is a lot of like uncertainties and a lot of things that go like just completely just Well, thanks, Alec.
You want to shoot the bow?
Welcome back to our channel. I feel like I haven't done this in a while. I'm Christian.
Oh, and I'm Arden. I didn't know we were doing introductions.
Yeah, we haven't done it in a while.
But that's so true.
New subscribers coming here.
Gonna have to reintroduce myself, I guess.
Reintroduce.
Yeah, reintroduce. Wow.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
Now, we feel like it's been a while since we've updated everyone. We got to fly out to Colorado not long ago, see our team, and meet our sons and daughters interns for the first time.
Yeah.
And like, we watched your last videos, like, congratulations on the Loft and all that stuff. And we said, well, actually, there's some more updates. Maybe since you guys don't even know those, we should just make a video around it and invite you guys into the journey.
Yeah, and that's been the interesting thing, moving here to Nashville. I mean, anywhere that you guys move to, there is always some like things
Any
that
big season.
Yeah, there's things that come up that you don't foresee. And I think for us, we knew like, hey, God's telling us to move here to Nashville, and we are kind of moving by faith and going by faith and living by faith. And I think even my dad just sent to the whole family the scripture where it talks about Abraham and said Abraham moved to Canaan by faith and still settled there and lived there by faith. And so we've been in this season, I think, where we're navigating, hey, there was things that we had expectations for of like, this is going to work out this way.
Even like a limited vantage point. Like, we know this much of it looks like. We know this is where we're moving.
Yeah.
But what does that mean for, a year into the process, 6 months into the process, just past the first news of being like, hey, we're moving. Yeah. So, for us, it's moving. For you, maybe it's like something with your family dynamic, it's school, it's job, it's just the last year alone with COVID. But we just wanted to make a quick little video. Yes, an update for people that are watching, but if you're watching this video just because you saw the title and you thought, I'm going through some stuff and I don't know how to have joy, like I want all the answers, which if that's you, we hope this video encourages you.
But yeah, so when we first moved into the Loft, like Christian was the first one to walk into it, there was some reality. Yeah, there was some reality shocks, like when fantasy meets reality kind of moments that we walked into. And I remember I was actually in Colorado and Christian called me kind of just, not like stressed, but just frustrated of walking into this. I mean, the people who previously were in there it wasn't left in the best state. And it was like we were going from a home to this. And I think that was already a shock in itself. And then coming in and just being like, oh man, this is going to be our home. It was a big shock. And I remember we kind of had this conversation of, okay, well, here's our options. And whatever we choose, we're going to move forward with, and we're going to do it to the best of our ability. Yeah. And I remember we kind of sat down, and I think that's something that you've got to understand is when you come to a challenge in your life, you've got to just sit down and you got to say, okay, here are my options. Like, here's the worst case scenario. Here's the best case scenario. Here's this scenario. What am I going to move forward with? And for us, that was, hey, we're going to fix this place up. We're going to make it a dream home for us. And if we live in it, great. Like however long we live in it, amazing. But if we decide that we're actually going to flip it and sell it, then that's awesome. And that was something that we dedicated to this process and understanding that when challenges come up to you, like it's going to involve work. I remember during that process, we, of course, we're still both working full time for the ministry, and we would work basically 9 to 5.
8 to 5.
Yeah, 8 to 5. And then we would go straight from our work and we would go straight to our loft and we would work on the loft from 6 p.m. until 11 or 12 p.m. at night. And then we'd fall back asleep and do it again the next day. And we just knew.
Might have gained a little weight there eating pizza.
Yeah, we ordered in pizza a lot just to get us through. But because we kind of had a hard time cooking meals and things like that.
Yeah, because not all the equipment was in the kitchen. But, and like, just to pause here and say, like, this is what, I like what you said. This is where fantasy met reality. But I think when a lot of people get there, you get into the fight or flight response. And a lot of times that either feels like I have to fight to shift this and cover it up and pretend it's all okay. or flight, and I just have to run away. Like, I can't physically deal with this. I've seen people even in my life that something bad happens and they just leave, and it's like, how can we process? And then I've seen other people that think, and I've been these people in different times in my life, but the other scenario or other side of that is something happens and you get so frustrated, you just get in this mindset where you're seeing red and you can't assess it. And I think both of those emotions are vital. Like, I remember when I walked into the loft, it wasn't what I thought. My tendency in that moment was like, oh, I gotta get out of here. My husband's not here. Like, I could have listed all the reasons of why it wouldn't have been good. But then also just having gratitude, I think, in whatever season you're in, helps you to evaluate with like keen wisdom. Like, not saying, hey, everything has to be okay all the time.
Yeah.
But
it's giving you a clearer mind.
Yeah, you have the ability and the wisdom and the peace of God, if you're a believer, to be able to not pretend everything's okay, but to navigate and like invite God into those moments. There's highs and lows to everything, I guess is what I'm saying. And it's like, you have the strength in you to evaluate and to process. And so that's kind of what we're saying is not, man, this really sucked, but this is how we navigated the highs and lows of that situation.
Yeah, it's the reality of you can't go backwards. And I love I love what Christian's saying is understand, like, you've got to get into this place where you're like, I'm not operating from a place of fear and operating from a place of stress. Okay, yeah. But I love, my dad was talking about this the other day and he was sharing this. He said, thankfulness leads to faith. Like, when you stand in this place of thanksgiving, it actually leads to faith. And when we get this opportunity where we go through challenges, is if we look at all the negatives, all the things that could go wrong, then we're standing in this place of fear, and that's not going to breed any kind of faith. That's going to breed the opposite of faith. But when you stand in this attitude of thanksgiving, it's actually giving way for your faith to expand, for the situation to change, whatever that looks like, though. And so, so for us, that was kind of where we went into it. And I remember we did our absolute best working on that place, thinking we are going to live in this place. And it turned out after we finished just kind of moving in and being in there and kind of thinking about, what's the next stage of our life going to look like? We decided, hey,
can we work from home together?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 700 square foot loft, guys.
Yeah, we kind of,
if you hadn't seen the video, that's what it was. 1 bedroom, 1 bath.
Yeah, because Christian would work out on the deck and I would work in the living room. And I mean, we were like, well, we're coming into winter. Is this going to be feasible during winter time? It's going to be cold and you won't be able to be out there. And so, not that I put Christian outside, is she enjoyed being out in the sun. I threw a couple ideas of, one, could we rent? Could we sell? What can we do with this place? And ultimately, we ended up looking at all the numbers and everything, and we said, you know what, we actually feel like the best thing for us moving forward is to sell the loft. And so,
but you said, you looked at me and you're like, let's just put it on the market for like a day or two and see how it goes. Like, let's pray into this. If this is the right thing, we'll move forward with it. Yeah. And within an hour of us listing the property, someone reached out, meeting all of the expectations we thought we needed to be able to sell it. Like, within an hour. And I know it's a seller's market. I know that. Yeah. But the fact of, like, just something about that realization of, okay, if this is the right thing to do, if all the hard work was meant for this moment, like, God, just confirm it. And within an hour, we see it. And she was so excited. Like, we wanted not just to, wipe our hands to get clean of it. Like, we actually came to the point, I remember both of us thinking, well, yeah, it's small, but we've worked hard on this place. Like, it's cozy. We love it. This is the first part of our Nashville story. So, And it was the day we filmed the Loft video. We
Well, we
took
did the
photos. We listed the next day
when we did Loft video. Yeah.
So by the time you guys were commenting, I love this, we were like, well, it's not ours.
This is not ours anymore. And that was crazy because we didn't know that would happen so fast. And I think that even the time period of when it was like, hey, you got to be out, it came up really fast. Kind of interesting journey of, now we're back in with my parents, and there's things that you can look at that and be like, well, there's really things that I'm grateful for, but then there's also things that are with challenges, being settled and stuff like that, of just wanting to be in a place of our own,
because we become accustomed to knowing that for 3 years. And so I think what we're saying is it can be easy to see. You just watched a Loft tour from us, and now we're like, well, we don't even live there anymore. We're in a completely different season already. But the anticipation of what we thought moving to Nashville would be like, if we wrote it down, pen on paper, hey, these are the action items that we would envision with a cross-country move, has been very different than what we would have written down. But the peace that we knew we would have, the joy that we knew we would have, all of the things that, if we're honest, we felt like God was promising to us, we have received.
Yeah.
And the things that we know he's going to give to us, we continue to have that hope. And so I think what you said earlier is really great, because we went from this, okay, here's the fantasy of what this big adventure will look like, and here's the reality. But when you interject that hope and that gratitude, and one, just the trust in God, it goes from fantasy to reality, but then your reality can be fantastic, despite what the circumstance looks like.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the beautiful thing, is if you allow things to be like the challenges in your life to be based on the circumstances that you're going through, it's going to be a really bumpy road. Mm-hmm. But if you allow yourself to be rooted and grounded in this like peace and understanding that you have, where that's the supernatural peace and understanding that is from God, then regardless of what's going on around you, you're able to stand firm on that. You're able to look at it and be like, look, I'm going through challenges right now, but honestly, I have such a joy through it all. And I think that's been something we've been able to do, is just have fun. Like have fun through it, to see this as, hey, this is a new adventure.
Yeah, so the moral of the story is, we're not sure what next month is going to look like. I mean, we have hopes. Don't get me wrong. We're asking God for specific things, but ultimately what I feel like we've learned in this season is to focus in on the adventure of what God's doing. Sometimes that's not the pen on paper experience. It's the overall, like, what are you teaching me? What are you showing us? Why do you have us here? And really making a conversation instead of a file and request. Like, okay, God gave us a new place. Thank you. Got it. We're done here. It's not really transactional. And I think also just to that point of, whether we continue living in this place or we get our home, it's just continuing to be anchored no matter where you are. Because if you're out in the sea, and life is very, very much a wave analogy, where sometimes there are highs, there's lows, there's smooth waters and rough seas, and that's completely unpredictable. No matter, how strong your faith is, how smart you are, that's the nature of life. We prophesy in part, we see in part, we know part of what God's doing, but we don't have the full layout. So what you can do, no matter if it's stormy weather or it's smooth sailing, is just being anchored. Because when you're anchored, you may, feel emotions rising one day, have questions one day, but you'll continue to stay in this place where you're tethered to God. It feels like you're moving, but you're staying in firm ground, and you're staying connected to what's really important. So that's what we've been doing. That's our advice for you if you are in the middle of a move or school or whatever's going on.
Yeah, so we hope you guys found this helpful. Honestly, we wanted to do this in two parts, of one, sharing our story and making sure that we're not trying to put on a face of like, hey, this is everything's going perfect and great. Like, understanding we go through challenges as well. Mm-hmm. And how do we navigate those challenges when they come up? And hopefully in sharing that with you all, so that as whatever you guys are going through, you can kind of maybe take that and apply it to your life.
So this state, we're just going to call it the fantastic reality, where we're seeing what's going on in our life and we're making the most of it.
Yeah, and that's so good. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you found it to be helpful. If you are new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe, because we're going to continue to keep pumping out these videos. We actually have a very fun video coming for you guys next, so be in expectation. But we would love for also to hear from you. So if you guys want us to cover any specific topics or talk about any dynamics or see anything from our life, please leave a comment below. We love hearing from you all.
And if you've gone through a season like this and you have some wisdom for someone else, maybe you are on the other side of your storm right now, leave what you did, how you found encouragement and joy, so someone else watching can learn from your testimony and your wisdom.
Yeah, well, thanks for stopping in with us on our journey. We will see you next time.
Bye, guys.